It's two-faced. Let's not pretend like Democrats are suddenly concerned about foreign investment. Last Congress, most of my Democrat colleagues voted against the End Chinese Dominance of Electric Vehicles in America Act, including the sponsor of this amendment.
Ilhan Omar starts this like a money, greed, Bernie Sanders-esque type of argument, and then the receipts start coming out, and then the entirety of the room changes.
That is $4.6 trillion of your money going to the pockets of foreigners. This isn't just bad economics, it's a moral failure. We should not allow failed trickle-down policies to continue to bankrupt our working class people and our country.
Bro, I smell a contradiction, but we'll point it out later.
And asking working families to sacrifice even more to fund tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy and foreign investors is utterly shameful. This is why my amendment just does two simple things. First, it raises the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%, which would generate $1.3 trillion in revenue over the next decade. Second, it explicitly blocks new corporate tax benefits from going to foreign-owned corporations. If my Republican colleagues who love to talk about America first want to seriously put our constituents, the American people first, well, this is your chance to show it with your vote by voting for my amendment. Instead of gutting important programs and eroding institutions that serve the American people, congressional Republicans should take this opportunity to finally have corporations pay their fair share. I yield the balance of my time.
Guys, really quickly. So corporations generally do pay the overall lion's share of taxes in the United States of America. Be fully aware, because the ones who are absolutely making the money in America are the corporations. The majority of our tax fund is made up of pilfered corporate dollars, guys.
I thank the gentlelady. Are there any members who'd like to claim opposition to the amendment?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. McDow from the Tar Heel State, you have 6 minutes.
Thanks, sir. What my colleagues on the other side of the aisle fail to understand is that we have already seen the success of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that President Trump signed during his first term. We know that it worked. By lowering the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%, we gave businesses the ability to reinvest in their communities and create jobs for the American people. If this amendment passes, the money that's been flowing into our country because of President Trump's tax cuts will be stopped at the border. Businesses will again hold their dollars offshore. This helps absolutely no one in my district. And where woke ideology collapses under its own weight, thinking that we can tax our way to economic salvation, the amendment would prevent the Ways and Means Committee from continuing to deliver the economic wins from the historic Tax Cuts and Jobs Act by jacking up the corporate tax rate. Anyone who has taken Econ 101 knows this just means less jobs and higher costs for consumers. If America wants to be an economic powerhouse, our tax structure needs to reflect that. But this amendment, it's two-faced. Let's not pretend like Democrats are suddenly concerned about foreign investment. Last Congress, most of my Democrat colleagues voted against the End Chinese Dominance of Electric Vehicles in America Act, including the sponsor of this amendment. That bill would have closed loopholes that benefit Chinese billionaires with ties to the CCP. If those loopholes had been closed, it would have encouraged more American jobs instead of rewarding our adversaries. I am disappointed so many of my Democrat colleagues opposed this important bill. As a country, America cannot keep robbing Peter to pay Paul and allowing our adversaries to take advantage of us. If the last 4 years have shown us anything, it is that Bidenomics is a failure. The American people sent a message in November. They won't change. They want to reignite the economy, secure our country, and go back to common sense. Right now, the Department of Government Efficiency is cutting waste in the executive branch, eliminating inefficiencies, and working to restore fiscal responsibility, something this amendment fails to do. It started by cleaning house at USAID, an agency that is riddled with woke waste, all at the taxpayer's expense. Just to name a couple of these programs, USAID spent $1.5 million to a Serbian LGBT group.
Okay.
They spent $70,000 for production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, and $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. Mr. Chairman, I could go on all night,
An opera, guys?
but in the interest of time, I urge a no vote.
So let's go ahead and jump into the glaring contradiction here. So Ilhan Omar is one of these individuals, definitely coming from the left, that supports the idea of funneling in as many illegal immigrants as she possibly can, right? Let's just say this here. She wants as many of them to come, and we then fund them here. You can't say that you care about making sure the American tax dollars are not going to waste here. You can't say that. Right? You can't, you don't mean that, because if you meant that, then you don't understand that the goal should be to secure our border, number one here, and not fund people who have never paid into our tax system here. It's just a glaring contradiction. And I'm surprised she wasn't called out immediately for that there. It's odd. It's like an oddball argument here. I think the rebuttal was absolutely amazing here because, listen, if you're going to point out all the things that we have wasted money on, as a country, our tax dollars have completely gone to waste in these absolutely irrelevant programs that mean nothing. Okay. I'm sure they mean something to like the 1% of the population. Sure. Right. But just understand this here. The minority does not dictate what the majority is doing. Okay. I don't know what planet we're on. We seem to be running like a reverse system where we specifically target and care a whole lot about what the legitimate minority of the population is wanting here. Guys, I don't care what anyone does with their body here, but I don't need to pay for it. Okay, that's how that works here. And specifically, the idea of trying to push a narrative in countries that are definitely not Western, bro. They probably didn't adhere to the Western way of thinking, specifically the left-leaning Western way of thinking, on purpose. So why are we trying to influence a culture that doesn't want something to want something? I have friends of all types of lifestyles. Be fully aware here. But I just need to point out here, I don't want to pay for it. Like, there's no reason for me to pay for it. The third thing, all right, when he said robbing Peter to pay Paul, yeah, that's basically what it is here. So Ilhan Omar is in the camp of basically saying here, if you have made it out of the 9-to-5 grind and you started a company, that company started, making money, let's say this year, and then you got to the point where you can kind of like incorporate, you are punished for succeeding. And when Kamala ran, she was saying the same exact thing. I'm going to raise your corporate taxes. Guys, I run a corporation. And the last thing I want to do at all, under any circumstance, okay, is pay more taxes than I'm paying. And when the opposition brought up about parking money offshore, exactly what would happen. Guys, that is 100% exactly what would happen. The money wouldn't even touch the United States of America because the business owner is going to know immediately, if I put my money into the United States of America, then it's just going to be it's going to be pilfered from at the rate of like 40%, depending on where you are. I get the numbers you're talking about here, but add in all the other stuff too. It's going to be pilfered and put into the programs that the American people voted against. Guys, no. I don't really see Ilhan Omar ever changing from this here. I think that this is just going to be the narrative that she's going to stand on indefinitely, until the left basically realizes that we can no longer fund, irrelevant programs and people that have never paid into the tax code. Guys, it's not a smart thing to do here. It is probably the least intelligent thing for us to do as a country. If we were getting a solid ROI off of these entitlement programs that we're funding, then I would stand up for it. But unfortunately, that's not the case here generally. Like, I mean, if we're getting like 10% of the people that have been utilizing, government assistance for the entirety of their existence are successful, that sounds like a failed business, guys. 10% of something is not a success, guys. I'm just spitballing here. I have no idea what the actual number is here. Let's just bring the number up for those of you who are angrily typing in the comments right now. If 30% of the people, are actually reaching financial freedom that have been on government entitlements, I still would call that a failure because it's not higher than 50%, bro. Right? This is not something that is meaningful, large scale. I think that people need to feel things, right? Like, people need to feel what it feels like to be down, deep down. I mean, down, bro. Because that's when you actually have the push internally to succeed. Like, if you had everything given to you, what's your push, bro? You have no push. And this is why I keep landing on this here, guys, because I mean, it's really important to kind of feel something. You have to be down so you can get up, guys. All right. But listen, you guys have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.